to week 4 of the Bill Neese's Coaches Show. I'm your host, Chip Hare, with us, Coach Bill Neese. Today's show, again, brought to you by Edison State Community College and Employee Bridge. Coach, we haven't been here for a couple weeks. A lot has transpired since our last show. Let's bring the nation back up to speed. We lost, unfortunately, to playing a game in week 2 because West Carrollton had a COVID scenario. So after our week 1 win against Belmont, we sat for a week. We did try find multiple opponents. It was a little odd because it was 24 hours, and trying to find an opponent in 24 hours is pretty tough to do.
It was busy Thursday night. I know we spent a lot of time on the phone in the coaches room down there and going back and forth with you. We thought we had something, didn't think we had something. Back and forth, it ended up it didn't work out. I didn't think it would be a good idea. And then when we finally said, well, maybe we'll just go ahead and go to Columbus, and that wasn't even on the table. So it is what it is. And I thought we were able to get good work in the course of that time. We had a great practice on Saturday, and we were able to then go through the whole week and stay injury-free and stay fresh. Our biggest challenge last week was the fact that we had Saturday practice, and then we had a game on Saturday, and there's a lot of practice time in there, and I hate to say that possibly the old Bill Neese might have had people practicing a little bit longer than what they should, and we really kept track of what we're doing rep-wise and time-wise, and kept everything short a couple days. Did some conditioning one day, got great work in the weight room, so I think everything worked out well.
Well, you know, Coach, you and I have talked about this for the years is routine, and you're a big routine guy, and keeping that Friday and then going into film on Saturday and then cranking it back up again. It was all shuffled, and obviously you as a coach, you got to follow and, as you said, really document and see what you're doing. But you also have to have guys that can follow what you're doing and take the lead and adjust. And you got some guys that really did adjust very well to that.
I think we did, and today's it now. Today was kind of a Monday, Saturday for us. It seems like, in a way, if you look over, it's a Saturday because the JV game's playing, but then it's a Monday because we're doing the game, and we've already done our Monday meeting, so we kind of split it up in between. I think the only problem was that everybody agreed there was just one day last week that nobody really knew what day of the week it was in terms of identity, in terms of what we're doing. Yeah. It might have been Friday because nobody was nervous on a Friday, and everybody's at least got some anxiety on a Friday. So that was a little different. But yeah, we're back in the groove, ready to roll.
Well, in between all that, then became the game, the discussion of the game, and the game, of course, was the battle in the Miami with the 137th meeting between what is probably known as the greatest rivalry in the state of Ohio. We had to get ready to play a football game, which again we were supposed to play on Friday, and then got moved to Saturday. There was a lot of conversation of when do we play the game, how do we play the game, but Destiny said we're going to get the game in. We did get it on Saturday night. Before we actually talk about the game, talk a little bit about the week and how you led up to that, and you were talking a little bit about in terms of practice and gauging your time, but a little different in preparation for this one than any other. There's a different feel for the game.
Well, I think it was, and the fact that you still had a limited amount of knowledge of the other team based on it still early in the season. But I think the thing I liked most about how our coaches and how our players handled that week was not a single person. Now, they might have done something elsewhere when I wasn't around, but not a single person asked me any questions about, hey, how many people, when can they practice, anything about our opponents. Nobody was concerned about that. Everybody was concerned about the fact we're playing the game on Saturday. These are the days we're going to practice. This is what we're going to do offensively. This is what we're going to do defensively. This is what we're going to do special teams. This is what we're going to do mentally when we get over there, et cetera, et cetera. And there was no mention. It was all about what we're going to do, how we're going to take care of Piqua. And, there was unfortunate circumstances, and, we did what we could, and then we just started the game preparation.
Well, one thing that was very apparent to me, we had a bonfire on Thursday night. Of course, then we had Friday where we didn't play, and then going into the game Saturday, just getting the feel. These kids embraced the moment. They knew what this game meant. They didn't try to downplay it. I mean, they acknowledged it. They embraced it. And they were ready to play on Saturday night. They were
ready to play, and we had great community support, as we saw in the impromptu end of the game. It's pouring down rain. Everybody's been sitting in the rain for 3 hours, and we cruised those buses down to the gazebo, and there was a ton of people waiting on us, and had a quick deal. And until you see stuff like that, you don't really realize how much the game means, not only to the people but the community also.
The game itself, let's talk a little bit about that. That was the first time that the Indians were on a field to play in a game in a couple of weeks. And Coach, without talking about the Troy game, first of all, how did you feel we came out and played right from the get-go?
Well, you know what? I don't know that we could have scripted a worse start, out of the gate. But like I told our team today when we were watching film, I said, most teams probably that wouldn't have as much experience as us. They probably be panicking a little bit, probably be thinking, what the heck's going on here? I mean, you start off and the other team drives the ball on you for, I think 14 play drive, ends with a score. We come back 2 plays into it, take a shot over the top, get intercepted, and we're back on the field already. And things could have got a little crazier than what they did, and it was just perfect scenario that they have a 3rd and 3, and we come up with a big play. We come up with a major play and force them 3 and off the field, and then we get the ball, go down and score, and then boom, 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 boom.
Momentum really shifted.
Everything worked out. But you talk about the fact that you're down 7-0 and you throw an interception right off the bat. There could have been some panic. There could have been some finger pointing and who's who and what's what. But we did not do that. We were able to show our maturity, I think, and show our team.
Coach, the part that you talked about, that it was clear that our team did not shift. It was almost like they didn't let that bother them. It just continued to flow, and our guys made adjustments, and we get second quarter really separated ourselves from them. And great momentum going into halftime with a 21-7 lead.
And as you really look at the film a little closer, you can kind of see the same things that were happening in that first drive. When it gets into the third quarter, our players were making the plays in the third quarter that they couldn't make in the first quarter. And it seemed like that we maintained our speed, and maybe we got a little step faster, or maybe the mud slowed stuff down for them offensively, and we got into a groove on offense that we basically married up with like 2 plays on offense and just stuck with it. And when they're down by that, it's a little harder to call plays when you're down by 14 in a pouring down rainstorm than it is calling plays when you're 14 up and you've got a 200 average offensive line that weighs 270 pounds. So it's a big difference.
Yeah, our line, you talk about our offensive line and defensive line, really did a great job of controlling the game. Mm-hmm. And one thing we haven't talked about yet about the game was the weather. That was certainly an impact, and our line really did take control of that, and particularly in weather like that, you could just see we imposed not just our will, but we really put ourselves in a position where they struggled.
And like I said, it's hard when when that score's happening and you've got that momentum going one way or the other. And our offensive line, that's one of the couple plays that we decided that we were going to just kind of stick with during the course of the game. And they came out, made great recognition on their blocking scheme, which side they were going to use it and where they're going to do it. And our H-back, Colton Booker, probably had one of his better games that he's had. Our offensive line of the 6 guys that play offensive line, we rotate. 6 guys played offensive line. 5 of them graded above 84%, and our line combined for 11 pancake blocks. 5 of which was just our center alone, Zach McGuire.
The one name that we haven't mentioned is the guy that scores 4 touchdowns for the Indians, and I could just tell when he ran out of the locker room, he came to play, and that was Josiah Medley.
Yeah, he did. And those that don't remember, he couldn't play. He was ejected from the Tip City game on what I still can be considered a below average call, and he was not able to play that game the following week, and I think it would have helped us quite a bit. I mean, he was a guy back there. We had a young secondary, and he was one of the better guys in that secondary, and it would have helped. But those things happen.
Coach, one thing that's for sure, we talk about Troy, and we've talked about how we've played, and we did. We played well on the line. We made adjustments as the game went along. Certainly Josiah had his part, but we really had some great individual performances, which was a team performance by a lot of guys.
Yeah, we did, and I think it starts up front with our defensive line. We were able to rotate 4 guys in our interior fronts, and those guys, Troy will come out and just double you like that, double team you like there is just no tomorrow. And those 4 guys were able to rotate and stay fresh. And in the meantime, they were pulling their tackles and blocking down with their tackles, which allowed our defensive ends, Tate Adams and Landon Hare, to really get an opportunity to come down the line to show their speed. And they adjusted to what we call it the traffic flow. You're unblocked, they leave you unblocked, or they pull somebody and bring you over, and then you've got to see, is the traffic coming back at you? Is it a quarterback? Is it a running back? Or is it all going away from you? And I thought those guys did a heck of a job being able to do that, and the fact that we were able to bat 4 balls with our defensive line. So overall, our defensive line, they're not in the game to make a huge amount of tackles, although this particular game they did well. Our linebackers were incredible, but our defensive line was able to really force things, and spill it out or cut it back to our linebackers, who a lot of times were unblocked, and they were able to make. Our inside linebacker, Sam Smeezing, had over 10 tackles. Devin Finley, who started his first game at inside linebacker, had 8 tackles. Tanner Kemp had 12 tackles, or 1 outside linebacker, and then Bryson Roberts had another 7 tackles. So that linebacking core was incredible in what they did. And Medley's rolling in from that safety spot and caused 4 fumbles.
Yeah, they coughed it up 7 times, or they gave it up 3, where they recovered 4 of their own. That ball with the weather certainly slipped out a lot, but certainly on our side too. But boy, really, I think our defense caused a lot of havoc for them.
It did, and like I said, we're very pleased with what we did defensively on the defensive line, and we're very pleased, with both of our lines on offense too. So I think we have something going. We're able to build some more depth. We're getting 6 guys playing on the defensive line now. We're getting 7 guys playing on the offensive line, and we're not missing a beat. It's not missing a beat. Everybody, is honestly saying, "Hey, Coach, I can go another series," or "Hey, Coach, I can't go another series." Get somebody in. We had run our power game, I think, like 6 plays in a row, and one of our guards came off and go, "Hey, I just pulled 6 straight times. Can I get a replacement?" Sure, go. We got people that can play.
Got depth, and one thing too defensively, we talk about Strayer's big interception. So they decide, Mayfield, their quarterback, decides to throw it, and at a key point in the game, we get a couple turnovers, and one of them was from a nice interception by Strayer.
It was, and I thought we turned the game off and went into Xenia at one point at a point in the game in the 3rd quarter where they had a 3rd and 6. And Tanner Kemp, who was they just bounced it back, we bounced it out, and Tanner Kemp, who was a blocked player, he had a guy blocking him, and the guy just totally whiffed. Tanner came up, blew the guy up, forced a fumble. They got the fumble back, but it forced them into a 4th down. And when they ended up throwing the ball on a 4th and 3 and it was incomplete, I think that kind of, at that point, I thought that we had the game in our hands and we better not lose it. So that's where we turned it off, and we turned our attention to the Buccaneers.
And before we get to the Buccaneers, I want to give one quick thing we hadn't talked about. Troy, that's a good football team. We talked about their quarterback. They're going to win some games this year, and we beat a good team. And I know, as you said, they came out ready to go right from the get-go, and we were able to make some adjustments. But that team's going to win some football games this year.
They are. I mean, and that's the story over the last 30 years here. That Troy is still going to be year in, year out one of the elite programs. They're a class program. They run things correctly. They know how to get things done the correct way, and that's why our rivalry is so well embraced, because both squads attack it with class. I mean, everybody wants to win the thing, but I think everybody's got a mutual respect for one another, and I think that's important in terms of these games.
Well, as you talked about, our sights now are on the Buccaneers from Xenia. As we turn the page to Week 4, the Indians will host here at Alexander Stadium. Again, this Bill Neese's Coach Show by Edison State Community College and sponsored by Employee Bridge. Coach, as we get ready to Week 4, our time is now turned to a very good football team in Xenia. Mm-hmm. They too are undefeated, and they'll be coming in looking for an opportunity to knock us off.
I think they will. And the last time we played them, they were here and they were the league champs, and they were a playoff team. and they've gone through a coaching change. They still have great players. The scheme they have is a great scheme, on both sides of the ball. So we have a huge challenge, and our players obviously know that. I mean, it's Monday, and nobody's got the Troy syndrome that they want to still talk about the Troy game. That's out of the system, and we're big time into Xenia right now, into our preparations.
As we look at the Xenia, they too, very similar schedule to us. They did not play week 2 because they had a COVID scenario, so they were off week 2. Played week 3, a rivalry game for them. Beat a Beaver Creek team and also a Fairborn team, so they're 2-0. What are some of the things that we can look from them coming in to offensively? What do they do?
Well, I think number one, they have a quarterback that's thrown for almost 450 yards in 2 games, and they take some shots down the field. They use play action a lot and take their shots down the field, and they're 3 receivers. They have 3 main receivers. All 3 of them have almost the equal amount of catches. They have a running back that averages 8.9 yards a carry. So I think that's on that side, that gives you an idea of what they can do there. I think on the defensive side, they play 3-4, a little bit more 4-eye stuff that we've seen in a while, and they've got 2 guys that are playing those 2 down spots that are their leading tacklers. So those guys are getting upfield, moving around a little bit. So I think in both instances now we've got to be able to recognize the different type of scheme that they're doing and get prepared for it. We started today, and then we'll have obviously 4 days this week to get ready, and we should be okay.
Well, you talked about new coach, new scheme. A lot of people might remember when they were here a couple years ago, they were a wing team, and now they're spreading people out and using their athletes a little bit more, and you see a little bit more action of passing and, like you said, going downfield, which we didn't see that from them before.
No, we haven't. We haven't, but we have seen it from other teams. There's a lot of teams right now that are very similar on the basic structure, but then they add their own flavor to it. I think their big flavor that they have might be a little different than somebody else, a little something else, but there's still a lot of similarity to some of the things they do, and even us, we do some of the same things they do.
Coach, we talked at the beginning of the year, you kind of talk about new coaches coming in. As a guy who's obviously been here for 30 years, when you see new coaches come in, how much time do you have to take to adjust to a new coach coming in and looking at film and anticipation, but also looking at film from this year to what they're doing? How much time on that end is that you have to take from looking at previous film to this year?
Well, it's unique in the fact that this is where you use your off season. You come in and you see somebody got this job or somebody got this job, and you immediately find out, well, okay, most of the time you know who they are. It's okay, he came from here, so let's go get some film of these guys. Let's see what he did back when he was here. Okay, let's see if he's going to marry it up to what he's doing, this year, and that kind of stuff. One of the frustrating things is you get to the summer, and to the winter, we take about 2 or 3 weeks per winter for each team. Just total breakdown, see what we did, what they did, and have everything set. And the frustrating thing is you do all that stuff, and then you find out that their coach took a job somewhere else. So all the time you took is meaningless somewhere else. But you do get a little bit of that shot early, and you get some background on them and stuff like that, and then you have it. So it's ready for us right now.
Certainly a lot of respect out for Xenia. I know we will certainly respect them coming in. Keys of the game from your perspective, what do you see as Friday night as being important for the Indians?
Well, I think our number one thing is we're going to make sure that we don't turn the ball over, and that's something we haven't done, and we turned the ball over 3 times Friday night. So I think that's probably the number one thing we want to address is that fact. And then number 2, we just got to keep everything in front of us. We got to make sure that we're playing smart on defense. We got to continue our special teams mantra, which is win the field position battle, do not get any penalties, play smart, that whole deal. And we continue to do that, and then hopefully we can force them into a couple mistakes.
Well, you talk about defense, and we are going to talk a little bit about our senior spotlights as we transition into those guys. Mason Osborn and Landon Hare, both guys certainly have been a core part of your team here in the past. Mason unfortunately had a little bit of a mishap, and we're going to greatly miss him as he tore his ACL and meniscus. But a guy who really was coming into his own from being a snapper to an inside linebacker. Talk a little bit about Mason.
Well, he's been a program guy for us, and a really nice kid. And when I say that, it's it's a compliment that he's a great kid. But he can go out on the football field and be as mean as he wants on the football field. But he's always been a pleasure to be around. Been in the weight room quite a bit, and he had always played outside linebacker for us, and then was our long snapper. And this year we had an opening at inside linebacker, and boy, he stepped in, wasn't sure to start off, and then he stepped in and he had just picked up on it. The first first scrimmage we had, and then into our first game, he was just all over the field, making tackles, and him and Sam Smeezing were a great combination. And then, unfortunately, we lost him. He was just running and just hit the knee wrong, and it's tough, but to see a kid like that, see that happen, because he's such a good player, great athlete in track, and just an all over leader on our team, and then to have him work for 3 years like that, and then have to miss his senior year, it was tough. But I think he bounced back. Okay. He's a fun guy. He's a fun guy. You enjoy being around him. I texted him, the day he got his surgery, and he was like, oh my God, I got your phone number now. And that was his first reaction. And we enjoy him, and the best thing about it is he's back here with us. He's here every day, and he's giving us any support he can, and it's good to have him around. I think he'll at least get that experience.
Well, I know when you and I talked about that initially, your first thought wasn't about our football team, Coach. It was. Yeah. You felt for the individual, because he was the guy that went up and beyond the Call of Duty. Yeah. When you ask him, he put the extra time in, the extra reps in, and it meant something to him. And it was always tough to see that.
Yeah, it is.
Next senior, Landon Hare, returning starter from last year. Certainly has had a nice game the other night. I know that he's a big part of your defensive line.
Yeah, and he is a big part of our program too, and the fact that he is one of the guys that he showed up when the first minute he was allowed to come to speed camp. Okay, he was here at speed camp, and he was at speed camp 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. Every time we had a camp, he was there, and it's just interesting, how just to watch him improve as an athlete. That he showed up the first day, wasn't really sure what was going on. I think he might have tripped on the way out of the car. And the next year he comes back a little bit more faster, a little bit more coordinated. He comes back the next year, this kid can play. And it just keeps going and going and going. And he's gone from just a regular guy to one of the premier defensive ends. In the Miami Valley League last year, he was second in quarterback sacks. He had 2 caused fumbles Friday night, a couple more, pass knockdowns, and it's just amazing the transformation that's taken place over the course of his career. And as a coach, you say, well, we'll take all that credit because we coached him up. But I think the biggest thing is he has an inner drive to get better, and he goes out. I know the first game, maybe, or the second scrimmage, I broke him down for loafing twice in the course of the game, and all that week he stayed and was doing extra running to make sure that he was going to be in shape to play. And he's with me all the time. I coach him, with him the entire time, and when we're watching film and everything, and we film everything we do. So, those 2 defensive ends, I think the big guys get lost in there sometimes because there's 4 of them. Those 2 defensive ends stand out, and they continue to get better, and I think it's going to be a big force. But, we appreciate having him in here. I think he might be the only guy that's ever had me for history twice, because for one odd year I had to teach world history for just once in my career, and he happened to be in that class, and the following year I had him for U.S. history. So we've spent some time together, and I really enjoy the way he's progressed over the course of the years, like I said.
Well, Coach, it certainly was appropriate. The 2 of those guys, Ozzie and Mason,
2 best
friends, are good hanging out together, because you'll find them in the parking lot. It'll be 2 hours after practice, and they're still in the parking lot talking like old men. So we certainly wish those guys luck. And Coach, we certainly wish you luck as we go into an important week as we get back into our routine, Xenia on Friday night.
Sounds good.
Again, we'll be back here. We are going to meet Lando and Ozzie, and you're going to find out a little bit about who they are and really kind of what makes them go. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Rhonda. I'm the Business Development Manager for Resource MFG here in Piqua. We are the largest and first staffing company of manufacturing. We offer contingent labor help and skilled labor help to our customer. We can also help fill skilled positions from CNC, management, and even engineer positions. We are located here in Piqua at 1229 East Ash Street. Our phone number is 937-778-0850. Please give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. If anyone is looking for opportunities within the workplace, please give us a call. We'd love to help.
For years, we've continued to lose our best and brightest students to other universities. They're going off to major in fields like business, education, nursing, and engineering, even taking classes online. And they couldn't be happier. We couldn't be happier either. After all, that's how we planned it. With Edison State's Bridge to Bachelor's degree program, you can get your 2-year degree and core classes at Edison State and then easily transfer to a state school. Save thousands of dollars and get the same great education with Edison State.
Welcome to part 2 of the Bill Neese Coaches Show. With us now are the senior portion part of our program. I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves and the positions that they play.
My name's Landon Hare, defensive end, number 85.
Mason Osborn, number 38, middle linebacker.
Ozzy, I'm going to let you hold it. We're coming off of what is a big win for multiple reasons. One, it's a league win. But it was also the game, the rivalry, the battle on the Miami, the Troy game. It means a lot. You weren't able to play. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But just from a perspective of being a senior, what was it like to see your teammates and Piqua get the big win on Saturday?
Oh, yeah, it was awesome. I grew up with these guys, and it was fun seeing them out there kicking Troy's butt. I wish I could have been out there myself, but I'm a little beat up at the moment.
Well, we'll talk about that here in a minute. Landon, a little bit on your end. Big win for the Indians. They get the 65th win in the most played rivalry in the state of Ohio, and would argue some is the greatest rivalry in the state of Ohio. What was it like for you being a part of that one, Landon?
Obviously it was huge. Troy is, it's our huge rival. It's the biggest game of the year. It's the one we always look forward to. It's also one we're never going to be able to forget because of, the weather, the way the game went. We were always on our toes, and I think it was really just exciting for everybody, and everybody was able to be a part of something bigger than themselves.
Well, Landon, I was always said, when you play those rivalry games, winning at home is nice, but when you go to their place and you win at their place, a little extra special.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Guys, as we get into, you're 3-0, we're going to talk about Xenia here. Coming up is that's a big game. Both teams are undefeated as we come into this very important Miami Valley League game. What's your perspective on this one, Landon?
I think, Xenia's, they're one of the top 3 teams in the MVL right now. They're looking pretty good. I think it's shaping up to be a pretty good game. We have a lot to prove this week. I think just moving on from our past game, the one that's always in front of you is the most important. I think that's what we're looking forward to, is just getting back out there on Friday night and getting back on schedule.
Well, let's get to Mozzie here. Oz, obviously we see you in a contraption here.
Yeah.
Let's, though, before we get into that, let's rewind for the nation, if you will. Your position was a long snapper coming into the senior year.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And then you moved into middle inside linebacker. Talk a little bit about that this summer, what that transition was, and how that was going for you.
Well, it was an adjustment because I came in, Coach Neese, this was a long snapper, and then he pulled me aside at practice and said, go to middle linebacker for today. I had to question him again. I said, middle linebacker, are you sure? He said, yeah, go to middle linebacker. I think this is $1 million decision, is what he told me. So we did that, and it was fun. It was hard at the beginning, but Coach Barge is a great coach, and he really put the perspective of the middle linebacker in my head, so it was fun.
You go through the summer, really made a great effort, and you could just tell you were really enjoying yourself, going through scrimmages, had some good scrimmages against Lima and against Northmont.
Yeah.
And then we come into Belmont, first game of the season.
Yep.
And before the moment, you were tearing it up. You had tackles, and you were just having the time of your life out there.
I was having the time of my life. And the third quarter rolled around and took a little too sharp of a turn and popped the knee.
So what happened? Let's talk a little bit. What did you have happen to you, and what's your prognosis?
Well, as of now, I tore my ACL and my meniscus that play, and I had surgery a week and a half ago. Now we're on road to recovery for about 6 to 7 months, hopefully coming back by track season.
Track is a big sport for you. We'll talk real quick about that. Talk a little bit about what that is, track season. You're really hoping that that's kind of a motivating factor for you, is because track is just as important to you as football.
Yeah, I love track. Track's same love as football. You know, I took a love for track back in junior high, so I'm hoping to get back and make a comeback for track season.
Very good. I'm going to give it back to Landon here. Goals for you, Landon. You came in last year, had a very good, solid junior year, being a part of a team that certainly won the league and made a nice little run in the playoffs. You yourself made first team All-League. You're starting to get some traction, becoming a leader amongst your peers. What are some of the goals for you as a team, and what are some of the things you're looking to try to achieve individually?
Yeah, so I wouldn't be in the spot I would be in without, senior leaders and from the past, Jarrell Lewis, Karan Coleman, those type of guys. They really, helped me put me in a good spot and to where I can be a leader, and they really pushed me hard, gave me some tough love. So I have all respect for those guys and all the love. They'll always be brothers. And I think goals-wise for this season, we're just kind of taking it 1 week at a time, one game at a time, making goals for that game and that scheme you have to get around. For sure, nothing too long term. Just having a great season with my guys and making a memorable senior year.
You talk about Landon. Sometimes you can get distracted, particularly when you're having a good year and there are expectations of a team. You can start looking down the road. You're talking about taking 1 week at a time because you really don't know what the next week lands. So this week against Xenia, all focus is on the Buccaneers and what that means.
Absolutely, yeah. We're looking forward to, like we said, playing Xenia. We just got done with our Monday meeting because they're a good team. We're a good team, and I think there's a lot for people to be excited about for MVL football this week. Very
good. I'm going to hand it back to Osman and Ozzy. I know for you, your goal is to stay out of the way.
Yeah.
On the sideline, but I did notice, in all seriousness, at Troy, you were talking to your guys on the sideline. People like Landon were coming over, and you were giving them encouragement and some words of encouragement, and also some things to think about. How's that been for you, taking more of a coach's role on the sideline?
It's been fun. It's different. It's different, but it's fun talking to them on the sideline, getting them hyped up, and then sending them back out there, and like Landon coming back all sweaty, gives you a hug, and there's nothing better to it.
Well, certainly your attitude has been great, the way you've handled it. I've been very proud to watch you, because the way you handle it is a direct reflection of how everybody else handles it.
Yeah.
And I think you've done a wonderful job, first class on that.
Thank you.
Let's fast forward a little bit. We're going to talk a little about, we're going to get into June, or actually Memorial Day weekend. Your guys are going to get a diploma, hopefully.
Yeah.
And you guys are going to move on to the next step of your life. So talk a little bit about what you're looking at for next year, maybe, Osborn and Ozzy in your world.
Well, I'm hoping that I'll be in college somewhere, getting a good education. I'm hoping for that. I want to become a game warden, so I'm hoping to really put time and effort into that, go to a couple different colleges, visit, and hopefully I'm getting a good education somewhere.
What are you looking to major in?
Natural resource science.
Okay.
Yep.
You're an outside guy.
Yeah, I'm an outside, yeah.
Well, we certainly wish you luck, and we thank you for sharing. And we're sorry about this circumstance, but we appreciate you sharing your thoughts on everything, not just on this year, but where you're going to be a year from now.
Yep.
Lando, as they call you, or Big Square, you've got some ideas and thoughts too of what you want to do in a year from now. What are some of the things that are crossing your mind in terms of goals?
Just like Ozzy said, I want to obviously be somewhere getting a good education, looking to major in business. Not really sure what kind of business yet, but I think that's kind of the field I want to get into, just because it's so broad and you can do just about anything with a business degree. Also looking to play football at the next level, wherever that may take me. Hopefully I can get some scholarship money or some sort of, but I definitely want to play football at the next level and major in business. Looking to stay kind of semi-close to home, far enough away where I can kind of do my own thing and create my own persona but close enough where I don't have to catch a plane home. So that's for sure.
A persona of your own you sure do have, that's for sure. And it's a privilege to be in the front row watching you. So, gentlemen, we are going to wrap this one up. We are going to be here at Alexander Stadium when the Indians host the Buccaneers from Xenia. Kickoff at 7 p.m. It will be on delay on the Indian Nation station. Right afterwards, it'll be posted on the YouTube account. And we certainly appreciate your guys' attention because this is a big game for you guys, and we certainly wish you luck.
Thank you very much.
Show is again brought to you by Edison State Community College and Employee Bridge. For Ozzy, Big Square, I'm your host, Chip Hare. We'll see you next week.